star mode. I'm fly, yes, I'm high, yes. Every wanna get to this guy, yes. Go out tonight, I just might, yes. Style cleaner than yours, so don't buy, yes. I'm so debonair, so debonair. I'm so debonair, so debonair. I'm so debonair, so debonair. I'm so debonair, so debonair.
Hey y'all, it's Royce. And due to a lot of recent occurrences that include lies, fabrications, false accusations, threats, etc., I realized that it's about that time for me to tell my story from the beginning to now. Unfortunately, someone keeps calling my bluff. And when you're an ant fighting an elephant, the only way to eat an elephant is bite by bite. Therefore, I want to let you know that I am a true Cancer zodiac. I told you to leave me alone. I told you not to fuck with me, yet you still do. So, because of that, I am not Michelle Obama. When they take it low, I do not take it high. I take it to hell. And now, you're going to get what you asked for. I had a baby by Superman, and here's his kryptonite. July 31st, 2004, I was at the movies at Downtown Disney with two of my friends. When three male figures walk in, one looking to be about an inch away from being a midget, the other very skinny and he had a bad acne problem, and another one who was extremely tall. As they come over to the concession stand, we are greeted with, "Y'all in my book." Our response was, "What book?" He goes, "My yearbook." I then respond, "No, sweetie, I'm grown." He goes, "No, my magic book. Y'all used to dance with the magic." Oh, yes. He's like, "I'm the rookie." Oh, hey. That's how that went, okay? And he was talking about, oh, y'all not dancing this year, that we left them with the Lion King. Like, it was a bunch of nice teas and goofiness, and that was it. He still had braces. It was nothing. So we go to see The Notebook, and they go to see something that I used to think was Transformers, but it was something along those lines. I don't know. Maybe iRobot. I don't know. Anyway, about 10-20 minutes into our movie, I go to the bathroom because I am now in a full-blown argument with my then boyfriend, who is breaking up with me because he is swearing that I'm at the movies with a dude. Obviously, I am not, but he was very insecure, and it was just an ongoing thing with us. So we broke up that day, and I was devastated because, what? I got dumped. Anyway, walk out the bathroom, and Superman is sitting there on the bench. And he goes, "No, I should never make you cry like that." Okay, thank you. And he's like, "Nah, you know what I'm saying? I'm young, but no man should ever make you feel like that." He had braces. So I'm like, again, thank you. And I go on about my business, and I go back to the movie. And I'm in the movie doing all of this, of course, on my little aim, my little sidekick. But by the end of the movie, I'm just kind of over it. So we're walking out the theater, and they're leaning on the car like they're in Boys in the Hood. So we're walking across the street, and his cousin comes up to me, which is the one with the acne problem. And he goes, "Hey, my cousin trying to holler at you." And I was like, "Well, why is your cousin not over here?" So he calls him over. And yes, we exchanged numbers. And yes, it probably was because, not even probably, it was because I was trying to make my now ex jealous. It is what it is. I was 24, whatever. So his first text to me was, "Hey, this is real name, the tall guy." So if you've ever seen me put TG on something or heard about that nickname, that's where that came from. So anyway, fast forward, 2 months go by, and I have not gone out with him. I haven't really said too much to him outside of AIM and, T-mail. So I was just being an asshole. Well, realizing that my relationship is now over for real. My dad is like, well, why not just go and like hang out? You know, he's like, you don't have to like do anything. He's like, but just hang out. You know, have like some male companionship. Not like that, but just someone to hang out with and have fun that enjoys doing like goofy shit like me. Right? So we decide that we're going to go to the movies at Festival Bay, which is now changed names probably like 20 times. But we go to those movies, and I'll never forget this day because this is when I felt the shift. But it was a man and his son. And the son ran up to me and was like, oh my God, you're a magic dancer. And I'm like, yeah, you know, I am. That never happens, y'all. People don't know the magic dancers here. Like, no, for real. People don't know the magic dancers at all. So I was like taken aback, and he asked if he could take a picture. He pulls out a real camera and he takes a picture. After that day, there was a shift. I started getting invited to promos, to fashion shows, to theme parks, like, you know, team events. I was everywhere. And I had stated a few times that I was thinking about going back to dance, and he was against it. So I did a brand ambassador tour with Cherry Vanilla Dr. Pepper, came back, and I said, I've made up my mind. Like, I'm doing this. And was he being supportive of things that I was doing? Yes. He was at the fashion shows that I did with Gaucher. Yes, that Gaucher. Hey, girl. He was coming to my parties. I mean, he was around. So I'm not going to say like he wasn't doing anything. He was. But I wanted my career. I went back. The team took me back, knowing what our history was. I danced that year. The next year I said I wanted to go to Miami. I said I wanted to dance for the Heat. That was my dream team, either there or the Dallas Cowboys. And both of those he was completely against, and I had no idea why. He would offer like our suggestions for other teams, but never those two. Just completely against anything in Texas and Miami. Now you'll know why. I audition for the team. I make it. Yay me. And after a couple weeks, there's a couple girls that are just treating me weird, and I didn't know why. Well, I ended up finding out that he had cheated on me with one of my teammates who used to live in Texas, but now was coming to the Heat, and he had been trying to get both of us to not say anything. Anyway, broke up with him and was trying to live my best life, y'all. Really was, right? And I ended up getting in an argument with one of my best friends on the team that you all know as Super Black Girl, Tracy. Got in an argument with her, so I was suspended for 2 weeks. So I went to Mexico with my DJ friend, and we had time of our life, whatever. Came back, and my phone is blowing up, my little sidekick, and it's him. And I'm asking for advice from my DJ friend, and he's like, hey, just go and talk to him. Just see what he got to say. You know, just hear him out. Like, maybe he really is sorry. Okay. I go to the hotel, and at first he wasn't in there because he was at, like, team meetings. But then he comes in, and we're in there, and we're talking, and he's pleading his case and asking for forgiveness, talking about how much he loves me and that he'll never do it again, that I'm the one for him, I'm perfect this, perfect that. All these things, y'all. And I said I would think about it. I said, you know, I'll talk to you later. So I walked to the room, or I walked to the door, and he pulls me back with my arm, and he's like, well, can I at least have a hug? Sure. That hug turned into kissing and touching and our child being conceived. I did not know I was pregnant until about a little over a month later when I was in practice, and one of the dancers who, funny story, ended up marrying the head coach of, that's not important, sorry. So after practice, I go to Walgreens and I buy a pregnancy test, and I take it home, take the test, call my brothers and girlfriend, wait for the results, and when I see them, I start bawling. I literally lost it. I saw my entire career just disappear, and I was devastated. I called my mom in the same state of mind. She's losing it. She's freaking out until I finally tell her, like, I'm pregnant. She goes, oh, I thought you killed somebody. That's how hard I was crying. She asked me if I had told him, and I said, I've been texting him. I've been texting his cousin. I've been texting his best friend, and nobody was responding. And I said, Mom, I cannot be a mother. And I said, please help me. Like, I cannot be a mom. I'm not ready to be a mother. And she was like, well, you're going to have to tell your dad. So for 2 days, I waited for a response. And when I finally got one, the response was, I was asleep. I responded, for 2 days, you just played a game in Milwaukee last night. And then he responded, I thought you were on birth control. I'd like for it to be noted that I had not been on birth control our entire relationship. He was very aware, and also as to why he was not against it. Also, I'd like for it to be noted that there was no attempt to pull out that particular day, whereas in the past he would move so fast that he would run into the dresser drawers. So let's continue. About a week went on, and there was a little bit of communication, and the communication was regarding terminating the pregnancy. I was told that he would help me. I just needed to get to Orlando, and we would do it there. I said, okay, not a problem. Just know it has to be a quick turnaround because I have to get back to work, and I can't let my parents know. Please understand, I had no idea how abortions worked at all. So I'm thinking that I could just get up and turn around. Anyway, communication ceased again. Now I'm having to talk to my parents. I talked to my mom again. She was adamant about me telling my dad. So I told my dad, and my dad was like, huh? And I'm like, huh, what? He goes, all right. And I said, well, I don't want you to worry because I'm not going to keep the baby. I'm going to terminate the pregnancy, and then I'm going to finish the season out. I'm going to go to Vegas. I'm going to fulfill this contract that I got with Treasure Island. Like, I had all these plans, and I was going to pursue my career. And he was like, no. He was like, you're going to have to put that on hold. And I was like, what are you talking about? He was like, you were woman enough to lay down. You're going to be woman enough to keep this baby. Now, back then, it wasn't a decision that was just easily made where you could just go to a clinic, okay? It was also extremely expensive, especially for someone who was dancing on basketball courts in booty shorts and a half top. So my mom did not give me the money, and I was now stuck. And I was asking friends. I was trying to just figure out anything I could do. It even got to the point where I was drinking magnesium citrate, or I was trying to use a hanger. It was bad. It was bad. But when I went to the doctor and I heard the heartbeat, that is when things were put into a bigger perspective for me. I don't know what it is, but when you hear that heartbeat, it changes you. And I knew then that I was going to be a mom. And so now it's time to tell Superman that he is having a baby. And as you can imagine, that message was not received well. And I was met with a bunch of, oh, you're tarnishing my image. You're ruining my career. I'm a Christian. What I look like having a baby. And I'm trying to put the cross on the NBA logo. How could you do this to me? You're a gold digger. Oh, yeah, I was hit with everything, y'all. Like I didn't have a career. But because none of those changed my mind, he then hits me with, and I have a girlfriend. Okay. I've always had a girlfriend. Oh, wow. Okay. So now I'm realizing, y'all, that not only is this person a completely different person than I thought he was, but I've realized that he is a master manipulator, and he will do any and everything to get exactly what he wants. I didn't fall for it. And because I didn't fall for it, I was then met with hell on earth. When I was about 4 or 5 months pregnant, I was asked to attend a meeting at a restaurant right around the corner from my townhome. I agreed to it, and when I got there, one of the first things said to me was, you don't look pregnant. I said, thank you. They said, no, because you have your belly ring in still. Mind you, I had already had this conversation before about wearing a belly ring while I was pregnant. I just liked it. But then they said that it just looks like you're poking your stomach out. Why am I here? Like, what the fuck y'all got going on? What do you want? Right? We sit down, and in this meeting is his manager, his cousin, himself. I am then offered money. I'm asking what the money is for. I'm thinking that maybe it's to help me with my pregnancy. No, I was asked to move away and say that this baby was not his. Twice. I declined. They got angry. I was then approached by the team office, and they wanted me to come in and have a sit-down conversation and do a prenatal paternity test. My doctor said absolutely not. Therefore, I said no, it was dangerous, and once the baby came, I was not opposed to doing so. For the next couple months, I got ready for a baby shower. I got ready with my baby registry. And every time I did anything, I was met with false accusations. I was threatened. With the baby registry, I was told to take his name off of there. And I did. For the baby shower invitations, I was told to take the name off of there. So I did. But I still was getting threatened. I was still receiving anonymous messages on MySpace and Twitter. And I didn't know what to do. Around early November, I started having really bad complications with my pregnancy, and I was put on bed rest. I didn't listen, but I was put on bed rest. As hard as it was to sit still, it was something that I knew I needed to do because I could tell something was wrong. On November 16th, I had a doctor's appointment, and my doctor was like, you need to go to the hospital, and they need to put you on a monitor. Stop letting them tell you that you're dehydrated. I said, okay, cool. We go to the hospital. They still don't put me on the monitor, and I'm just over it, and I go home. Around 3:33 that next morning, November 16th, I woke up to excruciating pain. I threw something down the stairs. My brother came up, who had been staying with me. I told him I needed to go to the hospital. We go to the hospital. They finally put me on a monitor, and they're like, oh my gosh, you're having contractions for real. No shit. They say that they're going to admit me. I said, until how long? They said, until you have this baby. Oh, cool. Tell my mom everything. This is also during Classic Weekend. 54 and a half hours, I was in labor, and my child was delivered via C-section. They knew the day that I went into the hospital, they knew the complications I was having. They knew that the child's heart rate had been dropping, and not one person cared. Not one person responded to that at all. But when they found out that the baby was born, an immediate message came through to my mother asking for a picture. I said, send a picture. She sent the picture, and the response was, oh, that's my grandbaby. To me, all babies look alike when they're born, so whatever, but hey, go off. I was thinking that maybe that was going to be a start to something better, but it was actually the gateway to hell. For the next 3 days, I stayed in the hospital, and not one time did I receive a visit from him or anyone in his family, but his girlfriend actually did stop by unannounced and uninvited with a bag of bibs talking about we needed to speak. I said, no, we don't. Asked her to leave, and she left. It was cool. Well, a few days later, I was discharged from the hospital the day before Thanksgiving, actually. And on Thanksgiving, we go to my cousin's every single year, who stayed right around the corner from him. He kept saying that he was going to come by, that he was around the corner, that he was about to ring the doorbell. All these things, kept saying that he was coming by. Y'all, he never showed up. We then ended up taking a paternity test at a neutral location, even though the team had asked me to take it at their offices, and I said, hell no, because I don't trust them. We took it at a neutral location. The results came back on Christmas Eve. He acted like he was excited, wanted to see the baby the next day, Christmas. I said, cool. Christmas comes. He's like, who all over there? And he wanted to see him by himself. I said, absolutely not. I'm not telling my family to leave. They're my support system. So they stayed. He comes in. He's with his cousin. His cousin is taking all these pictures. I'm not taking pictures. His cousin's taking pictures. Next thing we know, a few days later, these pictures that his cousin has taken, one in particular where he's laying on the sofa and our child is on his shoulder, has now gone, like, I guess back then, viral. And everybody now knows that Superman has a baby. So I need to go back through 2009 a little bit more in depth, because that's where a lot of your questions are. So the first part of 2009, I'll say the first quarter, I am confiding in Shawnee. I'm talking to her about pretty much everything I'm going through. She was one of the first people I told that I was pregnant, so I really thought I had a friend. When it came down to me telling her that Superman had reached out about trying to work things out, it was do what you feel is best for you and your son, follow your heart, don't listen to what people have to say, nothing biased. So I decide to work things out. As we're working things out, there are also conversations about a reality show. When I discussed it with him, he was all for it. He wanted to do it. He was excited about it. I told Shawnee, and easy sell. So during this time, we are working on our relationship. We are out in public. I mean, I'm going to the games. Our son is wearing his jersey. We had a Magic Dancer reunion. It was just a lot going on. I am buying a house. I am shooting a sizzle reel in Miami for the show. And that's when the verbal assault started. But I took my ass to LA and I went and I pitched that show to all those different networks, and I talked about how great of a relationship I was in, and I just knew I got it sold. I get back home and I find out that I have been cheated on with several women. All that I kept thinking in my head was, this man does not like to use condoms. I went off. I went to the clinic, I got tested, and I went off on Twitter. I mean, woo! I was letting his ass have it, y'all. Of course, he got pissed off, and we, broke up. And then a couple days later is when he comes by the house, and he's supposed to be picking up our son. He's mad because I would usually have a backpack and some of his favorite snacks at my house, but we're not together, so why the fuck would I have that? But anyway, obviously, he's in a bad mood, so I'm just trying to ignore his attitude. He's yelling in the house like, oh, I'm ready to go, and where's his bag? And I'm like, it's in the closet. He goes to the closet, and I'm asking him like, yo, you good? Like, you okay? Because you acting real strange. He turns around and proceeds to tell me how stupid and useless I am, how I'm worth nothing, how nobody will ever want me, no man is ever going to want to be with me, how I'm the best that he could ever get, I'll be back, all these things. That's when I go into the family room and I tell his friend, like, yo, get your friend. He acting crazy. Like, what's wrong with him? And he comes out. That's when he grabs my hair, flings me into the entertainment center. Same thing with our son. I told this story in part 3. I don't really want to have to rehash it. But before they left, obviously his friend is saying, hey, man, stop. That's a female. But he's still screaming and calling me every name besides the one I was given. They then pick up our son, and they leave. I'm now left to have this conversation about what just happened with my goddaughter. After that, I then had to pick up our son from his house. And I'm sorry, y'all. I do not know why I laugh or smile when I'm telling my trauma. I don't know. I'm so sorry. I know it looks weird. I know it looks crazy. I don't know if it's a coping mechanism. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm trying. I don't know why I do that. But they leave with our son, and like I said, I have to now go and pick him up from his house after this visitation, and I'm in his room, and that's when the knife situation happened. It should also be noted that prior to me going to pick up our son, we had a few conversations, and I forgave him again. So I get to the house, and he asked me to come into his room. I go, he closes the door, and he pulls a knife out on me. He says, I could really kill you right now and claim self-defense, and they would believe me because everyone loves me here, and they hate you. To attempt to rewrite history is crazy because those of you who were at the house that day know exactly what happened. But maybe that hypnotism did work. So he comes over to the house about a week or so later, and we're hanging out with our son, watching a movie in the family room. Remember, we're trying to work things out. And I go to the bathroom. When I come out the bathroom, he's in the bedroom. He wants to have sex. I say no. My cycle is on. He says he wants head. And I say, no, our son is right there in the other room. He proceeds to get up. He shuts the door. He comes over to me and he pushes me down to the floor like he did before. And he proceeds to ram his waist into my face. If you can imagine what that feels like, think about someone punching you in your nose at 6'11", 200 pounds, and their pants are still on. Think about that happening over and over and over again to you. You're now in tears. Your son is in the next room. You've already basically been told that you're hated by your hometown, so call the police on Superman? Clark Kent? Baby Jesus of Orlando? No, you can't do that. Okay, so that situation happened, and that is what ultimately led me to leave the relationship. Not soon after that, the show got picked up. And that's when contracts started going around and our attorneys started speaking with each other. And because I was still signed on to do the show and he was not, they were concerned about what I was going to say on the show. So they were like, well, we just want to make sure that she doesn't say anything bad about him because of his career. And we don't want any type of, defamation. And of course, I'm like, well, is it defamation if it's true? But okay. And then it was also me saying, well, I don't plan on that being my storyline. I don't have to talk bad about him. I don't really have to talk about him at all. The next day, my attorney calls me to his office and he's like, hey, you need to get here as soon as possible. I need you to sign this agreement. And I was like, what agreement? He said, the agreement about what we talked about yesterday with you and Superman. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I get in my car and I think I was even at the park because I was close. But I get to his office and it's not even 4:50 yet. It's like 4:40 something. And he's like, sign this agreement. So I'm looking at it first. I'm trying to at least skim it. And he goes, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm just checking I'm supposed to read everything. So he says it's basically the conversation that we had, a couple days prior, just in writing. I said, okay. I signed the paper. I trusted him to my detriment. He then goes, hurry up, we gotta go. I'm like, okay. So we're rushing out the office. I'm right behind this man and we go to get in the car. He's like, what you doing? I was like, you said we gotta go. And he was like, well, not you. I was like, what do you mean, not me? He was like, you're not dressed appropriately. I had on an orange tank top and jeans and sneakers. This man went to court, and rather than me not be there for the judge to ask me if I knew what I was signing, for the judge to go through the different provisions of what that agreement said, and me have to agree to it, my attorney did that. You want to know what that agreement said? That I could not say his name, any type of insinuation, his middle name, nobody in his family's name, his friend's name. I couldn't even say my son's name, y'all. And if anybody in the room was even talking about him, I would have to leave. And it said not till death, but till death and the end of time. That attorney later withdrew as my attorney. But there's a new agreement in place, which trumps the old one. So as much as I wanted to fight it and argue it down because it was on some bullshit, my attorney had to remind me, it's not about the little battles. It's about the war.
I did it. 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 Did it. You did it. I did it. You did it. Did it. I did it. I did it. I did it.